Well, hello there. My name is HW, and thank you so much for watching Tone Junkie TV. I'm rolling up my sleeves because it's time to get our hands dirty in some Humbuggy Cleans. That's right, Humbuggy Cleans. That's right, Humbuggy. Little nod to the Gear Man dude. Humbuggy Cleans. What the heck is with humbuckers and cleans? Look, I use humbuckers a lot on the channel, I feel like in demos and stuff. But I got a question. People were asking, what's a really good recorded example of humbucker cleans? To which I said, any time a 335 is used is probably at some point clean. But I wanted to talk about this on the Kemper because there are some challenges I've found with using guitars like this in a live scenario when I want to get clean out of them. And that is so much to say that I tend to notice warmer cleans and a lot of mid-range in your clean sound tends to work in a little bit more of a stripped down mix. So, you know, something like Larry Carlton, something like Eric Johnson, when you're dealing with 3 to 5 elements in the band, the guitar has a little more room to be vocal, especially when it's the centerpiece, right? But if you're playing on a Friday night or a Sunday morning, a lot of the more sensitive stuff could get lost unless we're talking about like a jazz gig or something, you know? You might not be able to just get the whole tone, you know? You know, there's a real attack and a real brightness to it, and the Humbuggy Cleans here that I've got is actually the 65 Twin Verb. This is the N1, no bright channel. But I want to talk about, you know, if you throw it on the bridge, you instantly get more brightness. So if you're like in a mix and you're playing something, you could be playing some rhythm like that, and it would fit well. It would really cut on the bridge. Like, that's enough. It'd be warm. It wouldn't be in your face. Obviously, there's so much room for another guitar player to sit on top of that with something a lot more bright, a lot more present. But you're providing a real amount of girth. But when I throw that up at the neck, which is such a beautiful sound for humbuckers, humbucker at the neck, a PAF at the neck is absolutely a gorgeous guitar tone. You get this sort of thing. It's really nice, it's really beautiful, but we may, at times, especially live, need to pull out something a little more cutting, or we might need to change the tone a little bit. So one of the things I like to do is think about how we can do that quickly on the Kemper. And so check out this EQ block that I've dialed in here. All I'm doing is I'm cutting a little bit of deep. I'm leaving the bass alone. I'm cutting some fullness, about 3 decibels. I'm cutting some low mids at 640, 320 and 640. I'm cutting both those at 3.2, negative 3.2. I'm cutting the high mids down just a touch. I'm adding some highs, and I'm adding some presence and a tiny bit of air. And it's going to sound like this. We don't want to get a single coil sound. We're not going to lie to ourselves and pretend that we can get a single coil sound out of this PAF style humbucker, because it's a beautiful sounding humbucker. But we do want to hear it through a new lens. We do want to hear it with a little more brightness. We do want to take a little bit of the girth away. So one more time without the EQ. And now with the EQ. That is instantly single coil-ish more. Now that to me still sounds like a humbucker, but it's a little brighter, it's a little more cutting. And so what I've done is I've almost taken these PAFs and I've almost transformed them into something more like a T-top, a little brighter. When I take that off, I get that beautiful warmer tone. I mean, that is really kind of remarkable, really useful. Just for fun, let's put it in the back here. And now let's figure out, what if we put that same EQ behind the amp block? Actually works surprisingly well. Now this is where we're going to run into something with humbuckers, and this is one of the reasons I love humbucker guitars that have single coils with them, or that have really convincing splits. Now this guitar in particular has a split, but it's not very convincing. Here is the neck humbucker by itself, and now here is the split. It also, to me, cuts the output, and so I never use it. I don't enjoy it very much. But I do like this guitar. That was jazz. Turning back on the X slot here, where we're using the same EQ behind the amp now, I'm now able to get a brighter, sort of more single coil-esque sound. And if I throw that to my bridge, that's fine, but I might not always want that. So on the Kemper, I might set up to have some overdrive like this with a nice warm bridge. Then I might use my foot switch to skip back and maybe turn all that off and leave me with a clean sound that's a little brighter, like this. Well, we're feeling very jazzy today, aren't we? Jazz is also code for I made a mistake, but I'm not going to admit it to you. How would I use this? To me, the secret to Great Humbucker Cleans is you want to hear the low-end compression of the humbucker. It's more, no matter what you do to the EQ, you hear the extra compression. You hear it in chords. It's really, really a pleasing sound. But, well, let's add both. What happens there? it sounds good. It sounds like a little bit of like a fake single coil. Sounds like a tap to me. But that's cool. For me, I think the real takeaway here, the real trick is, I used to have a rig a long time ago that I ran where I had an Epiphone Sheraton, and I put some weird pickups in there. They were like P90s, but they were supposed to have a little more high-end top end. As I'm describing that, it sounds like a Lambertone or something, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't that good. It was just kind of a mix-up of things. And I didn't love the humbuckers, but what I found is I could actually dial in, if I used an EQ, and I made them a little thicker, it sounded like a really nice thick P90, and if I made them a little thinner, it sounded like a really nice thin single coil. And so what I ended up doing was putting 2 Boss GE7s on my board, and one of them was on all the time. When I wanted to play clean, I would actually dial in my amp for a little bit of dirt, and then when I wanted to play clean, I would turn on one of these Boss GE7s, and it would scoop out a lot of mid-range and lower the signal, and it would actually come out clean. And then when I wanted to play dirtier, I would just bump up the mid-range and hit the front of the amp harder. Well, I hated the guitar, the sound of the guitar by itself, but with these 2 EQs, they worked really well. This reminds me a little bit of that. I enjoy this sound by myself, but in a mix, I'm usually looking, for all the things I've done and the things that I do, I'm usually not looking for the most like neck pickup, warmy kind of stuff, unless it's like a layer. I think that's a really great rich tone, but I like it a little more with a little fullness taken out and a little high end added to it, and still sounds like a humbucker. I don't know, man. To me, that is just an incredible sound, and really, I almost like this one more, which is sort of an accident. I dialed this in for the front, but again, these happy accidents, you dial something in for the front and it works almost better in the back. You might not have gotten quite to the same spot, but it's really beautiful. Yeah, it's really beautiful. I think the key here is just, for the humbucker cleans, you want to add, it really depends on the pickup, you know. I have another 335 that wouldn't need this type of treatment, but you really just want to let a little bit of the high end come out on the neck especially. On the bridge, I don't think so. I think you let them do what they're going to do, but it's that neck thing that sometimes you got to take out a little bit of fullness. And it's one of the reasons that, you know, one profile can't work for everybody, and why we put out a lot of profiles, and why I try to make sure people know how to utilize this device. Because if I'm over here and this pickup, this thing sounds great, and I love, you know, the bridge, right? But then I go to the neck and it's going to sound great, but we already know that. But let's say it didn't. But if it didn't, that's when you got to come in here, and I really think the secret is take out some of the fullness, take out some of the low mids. I'm even taking out a little bit of the high mids, and really just getting that beautiful. Man, that's fun. That's addicting to play. That is awesome. I'm going to put this on the website for you guys, and you can try it out yourselves. Try it out with your humbucker guitars, and see how you like the profile, and then add these things on, adjust them, do it yourself. Hey, thanks for liking and subscribing. It really helps YouTube and Facebook algorithm. I have been HW. I got some fun stuff coming up this weekend, and including the Ask HW show, which is going to be great. Thank you for sending in questions. If you haven't seen that, look on the channel, send in questions to the Ask HW show, brand new show on the channel we're doing. This has been some Kemper tips. Temper? Who's got a temper? Who's mad, huh? Kemper tips and tricks. Humbucker Cleans, my man. Oh, no, wait a minute. Humbucker Cleans, HW.